Hi, y'all. I'm Darielle, the face behind the Urban Book Nook, where I share book reviews, author spotlights, and all things lit, literally. And I am so happy to be here today. Hopefully, I don't cry through this interview. So, I'm with an author that literally impacted my life more than she knows. I found this book while I was in a state of grieving, and literally, her and the book saved my life. Okay. So I don't even know how to introduce you properly. So for everybody, just stand in ovation. Please introduce yourself to everyone and tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, Dario, thank you so much for inviting me to have this conversation with you. Since you posted your review, I wanted to talk back to you doing that. Anyhow, my name is Catherine Tucker. I grew up in the Mississippi Delta, and that kind of inspired the writing of Tall Cotton. I went to college in Alabama, Alabama A&M University, have a BA degree in English, spent all of my career working for the federal government. And it was as I was thinking about retirement uh, that I realized I had nothing to do after I retired because I had no real hobbies. And that anxiety caused me to pray about something to do after retirement. And I started praying about, something passionate, something I can do, something to fill my time once I retired. And about 4 months later, I got an idea for a story and I started writing. And so that was that was 2009. And I started writing my first book right after that, about 2009, early 2010. Yeah.
So you
So I live here in Houston.
it's your first book?
Talk Cotton
Uh-huh.
is my first published book,
Okay, okay.
my first actual novel. I was shopping around and I wasn't getting any traction and no one to publish that one. So I shoved it in a drawer
Okay.
and then got the idea for Tall Cotton and started writing it, finished it, and got it published.
Well, congratulations. Okay, so we need to find this one that you shelved. Are we thinking about bringing it back out?
I'm gonna dust it off eventually. When I start writing it, my job, I was a cybersecurity analyst for the federal government,
Okay.
and the story was a near future uh, spy novel. So yeah, so
Girl,
eventually
I'm going back too.
I'm gonna circle back around to that one eventually. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'll be there for that one too. Just let me know. So how did Tall Cotton even come about?
So after I shoved Elysian Escape, that's the my first novel, Elysian Escape.
Okay.
I was talking to my sister who still lives in Mississippi, and we were just reminiscing about our childhood growing up in Leland, Mississippi, small town surrounded by all these cotton fields. And actually, my mom started working a part-time job for this white plantation owner. That sounds familiar. And we were just he was very attractive, looked like Robert Wagner. And we were like, what if mom would have had an affair with that man? What do you think would have happened? And I said, somebody would have gotten killed. And we laughed about it and hung up the phone. And afterwards I thought, hmm, you know, that might be a good story. And so that's the genesis of Tall Cotton.
It's so well in this book. It was so many. Okay. So yes, that one. This the whole just how we got to the core. I think I was so immersed in this book that every plot twist and turn, I don't think my mouth was not open the entire book. Okay. Listen, shooketh. It was so many scenes. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And then we get to the end. And oh, baby, when we get to this end, okay, the vindication, like I like that. So we kind of talked about how Tom Cotton kind of found me during one of the hardest seasons of my life. So after losing my father, I struggled to focus, not get too emotional. But your book gave me somewhere to go. And in the midst of somewhere to go with these very developed, well-developed characters, I was in the middle of Tall Cotton with these characters. Okay. So when you sat down and just started writing it, was it one particular character that kind of took off bigger than you thought that they were going to be? Let me see who you got, because I'll tell you who my favorite was. Who you got?
I got Bailey. Who you got?
Oh, it was Bailey too. Okay, yes, 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 yes. Okay, Bailey was a number one, and then it was, hold on, because I had to write the names down because it's been a while.
I know.
It was what the main character, the wife.
Annie. Annie Lee.
Yes. So I loved her, and I loved her because I felt like she was a lot of just black women. You're in a situation that you're in, and you're gonna make the best out of it. And it is what it is. We're just gonna move forward. We're gonna keep our heads up. And that part alone, she's the one that got me because I think in the midst of my grief, she was just functioning through it all, and I saw myself just
Hmm.
functioning. Like as a mother, as a wife,
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
to act like everything's okay, and you know your situation not okay because that piece of man, that piece of man. So how did we get to okay? So you said your mother used to write, I mean, used to work for a plantation owner. So was it the same hidden employment? Or
No,
okay,
no, no. I added that element
you
of
did well on that.
secrecy to kind of ratchet up the risk factor, to elevate the risk.
Ooh.
As I was writing that, I thought, oh, oh no, and oh yes.
It was genius. Genius. I recommend this book to everybody. I'm telling you, just because.
Thank you so much. And let me just pause and say that that is the biggest compliment you can pay to a writer to acknowledge that it helped through a difficult season. There is no greater compliment to that than that. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
No, thank you, girl. You can't be. My sanity is truly due to you, and we'll get into. I think I saw myself in so many of the characters, and then, like I said, I felt like I was in the Mississippi Delta in myself, and it almost became like an unspoken character, like just the setting
Mhm.
itself was like a bonus character that you didn't even realize. Um,
Mhm.
why I guess it's going to sound like a corny question, but why was it important for you to kind of root the story in the Mississippi Delta? I mean, and why not Alabama? Like why this particular location?
Well, it was familiar to me, number
Okay.
one. I grew up in Mississippi. I grew up in a small town, surrounded by cotton. And even though it was sort of idyllic for me because it was like we were insulated, you know, Black people pretty much stayed in their area, right? White people stayed in their area. So you didn't really see a lot of what was really going on under the surface, underneath it all. The prejudice was still there. It was just that we didn't interact with the adults. The adults didn't. They stayed in their respective areas. And at school, we had integrated the schools at that time. So we went to school with white kids and everything had leveled off. So everything was pretty cool. But I thought that the setting, as you said, could serve as another character.
Yeah.
Because when I thought of the title, after I thought, oh, this would make a great story, I thought, and I know the exact title, Tall Cotton, because the cotton fields can serve as a place to hide things, right? Hide crimes. We know that crime that was about to be committed toward the end of the story.
Yeah.
And also, in the early part of the story, a place you can hide, a place for safety if you're
Yeah,
trying to hide and get away. So it served as just this extra element
it
to
did.
add to the story.
I didn't even think about the metaphor of the title now. Now I have to go reread it because you're right. You are absolutely right. There's so much that could be hidden in this tall cotton.
Hmm.
and a whole nother life was hit. Oh, even deeper. Oh my gosh, you're gonna get me all over the place. Okay. Was there a particular moment or maybe family story, historical event, that kind of was woven inside Tall Cotton?
Well, some of the physical abuse that
Okay.
actually some of the scenes, a couple of the
Mm,
scenes actually happened. A couple of them I created, just based upon the Otis's temperament in that character. I
yeah.
created some additional uh,
Okay.
incidents for the story.
That man. I've never wanted somebody to just croak over like that. So as you're developing the story, was there a scene that you were kind of hesitant to write or that kind of took a life of its own as it started to hit pen to paper?
Yeah, yeah. There were a couple of one in particular, and if people have never hadn't read the story, I don't want
Give
to
too much.
give any spoilers. But there was a particular character that I was really fond of that he didn't quite make it to the end of the story. It kind of took a turn for him. And I didn't want that to happen because I was fond of the character and the family was fond of the character, but it served the story.
So you did it for the plot? You intentionally took us through this?
Sometimes you have to kill your darlings. That's what we say in the writing world.
Ah.
So that's what happened.
So bring me back to Bailey, because she was very, I feel like was the heart of the story, very light. Um, was there something symbolic that she kind of represented to you as she grew in the book?
Now, Bailey is a boy. I know you've read a lot of other stories since you read Tall Cotton, but
That's
Bailey is my
you
10-year-old
right, girl.
boy.
I'm sorry. Bailey is the boy. Bailey
Now,
is the boy.
but when I first started writing the story, when I conceived the idea, Bailey was going to be a girl. I thought, well, I have four sisters. I can have them all be all girls and kind of, so I know what the ages would be and I can kind of pattern it after us. But then I said, no, I want Bailey to be a boy because just like girls have a special relationship with their
Bailey.
dad,
Mm-hmm.
boys have a special relationship with their mothers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yep.
I wanted to bring that aspect and that element. I thought it would add an additional layer to the story
It did. You're
for
right.
him to have that relationship with his mother, want to be protective of her, want to be protective of Joe.
Yep.
So I made him a boy to add that dynamic to the story.
And now you're absolutely correct because I have an older son. He's 19 now, so I had him in college. So again,
19. You got a
the story
19-year-old son. You
I
look
do, girl.
19
And he,
yourself.
he is a freshman. He just finished his freshman year at Tuskegee. So he's
Oh,
in Alabama right now.
congratulations.
Yeah, so you know.
Oh,
But even that story with Bailey and his mother was kind of like me and my son. Because now that he's older, of course, he acts like he the daddy.
yes.
And I'm like, I'm still the mother, but even as becoming
Yes,
my father, he really became protective. So yes, now
absolutely.
I don't know how I thought you're absolutely right, Bailey, and I think that was another key thing that I was like, oh my God, this is my baby. This is my baby. Okay, so take me into how we got to the courtroom without giving too much.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
there was so much drama,
So
so much
yeah.
suspense.
So if I had another special character that I enjoyed writing, it was Jonathan because in the Mississippi Delta and a lot of my characters, right, because of the time, it was the 1970s, and you had grown-ups who were born in the 1920s and 30s and 40s that were coming up. A lot of them were not educated, and you could tell who's talking in the story by the way they spoke,
Yep,
right?
you can. Yep.
And I wanted to keep that authenticity in the story.
Mm,
But I also wanted to show what it looks like when you have access to education.
mm.
And that was Jonathan Streeter.
You're
Polished,
right, Jonathan.
articulate, passionate, um, a man of integrity. Um, that was Jonathan. So I got to show that intellectual side of who we can become
Once we're, yeah.
if we have access.
Even think of that. You see how
And
you keep messing me up? Because you're right. I mean, now that I'm thinking about the way Jonathan came in, just his storyline, the things that he encountered, he did
Mhm.
handle himself different.
Right. Yes. And so I really enjoyed writing the court scenes. You know, I of course I my degree is in English, and people when I tell them it's a legal thriller, they say, "Are you a lawyer?" And I'm like, "No, but I did my research. I
You
did my
did.
research."
So you hit I think everything. It was so I'm a documentary girly, okay? Through and through, courtroom drama, I am here
Yes.
for it. So when
Yes.
you hit on mystery and you had historical, I was in there like losing my mind because now we're having a court like play out. Did you develop it in a way that you knew we were going the legal path, or could it kind of been one of those, you know how things happen in small towns and
Hmm.
you have the good old boys and we just kind of sweep things under?
Absolutely.
Tell us about Mississippi. Would it have been how you wish things would have played out? Is that what that is? Or you've actually maybe being in Mississippi seen some court cases come through like this?
I have not seen any play out like this. And, honestly, if just looking at the time frame in which this took place,
That's what I'm saying.
if this had really taken place, um,
I think it would have
and
been swept under the rug.
yes, absolutely. Either it never would have gone to trial. If she would have allowed to make it to the, because back then they were taking people out of the jails, stringing them up.
Yep.
They never even got to go to trial, right?
Which is where I thought we was going. I was like, Lord, please don't take a Lord. Please don't take a Lord.
Or if she had the trial, she would have been found guilty because in all probability she would have had an all-white jury,
Yep.
or one black person maybe, but then even ultimately she probably would have been found guilty and would have gone to the
Absolutely.
electric chair. And
Absolutely.
so that's why, it was important to have to take this story in a different direction. Um, and we know how it ended. So, but just to have that representation, even in a courtroom, a
Mhm.
lawyer who's fighting for her passionately. Um,
Articulately.
yes, and and giving his all to fight for her. That was key to the story for me and writing Jonathan's character.
Let me tell you something. You gave me so much healing through vindication at the I don't know. I know you're not supposed to wish bad on nobody, okay? But when I tell you you brought that thing full circle and I healed for her, okay, I was like, yes, Lord, we done let it go and we can move on like nothing even happened, okay?
Yeah. That was the other thing. I knew that the story had to have a satisfying ending because I hate stories that either leave you hanging or it ends terribly for your protagonist,
Hmm.
that you're rooting for, and you leave the story thinking, oh my God, that was terrible. I feel so awful. I no, I definitely wanted to have a satisfying ending, and so hopefully it does for you. It
It
did.
did. I was literally the book. Look, I read it on Kindle. I was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. So besides my feedback, what's some of the feedback that you've been getting from Tall Cotton?
Oh my goodness. I'm just really, Ariel, so pleased with the feedback that I've been getting from this book. And quite honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but I certainly didn't expect to get the type of feedback that I'm getting. I have my reviews on Amazon, 80, maybe 82% of my reviews are five-star reviews. And then there's about maybe 15 or 16% fours.
They can't read.
and some threw in. I got a couple of ones
They
tossed in,
can't
a
read
couple of twos,
either. They don't worry about
for
them
good measure. So, but just people talk about the characters. They love the characters.
either.
They love the story itself.
Hmm.
They say it's well written.
Yeah.
The characters are well developed, well rounded.
Mhm.
The plot twist, how it
Coming.
keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Keep
So
coming.
I have several readers who said I read the book in one setting.
I can see that. I can see that.
Um,
My mom life, my life just interrupts me. But yes, I can see that because I definitely finished this book faster than I thought I was going to. I try to read like a book within a week, and I
yeah,
definitely think I got down in 2 or 3 days for you because it becomes addicting. You're like, okay, what happens next? What happens
yeah,
next?
yeah. I want to get back to see what those kids are doing. That's what one person told me. I couldn't wait to get back to see what those kids were doing. And so that was just such a huge compliment. Just
So it talks about survival,
hmm
the justice,
hmm
and I see healing, because we finally heal to let go type of thing.
hmm
So what conversations or what type of conversations were you hoping that this book would spark as we talk about it in book clubs or we talk about it amongst each other?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I've talked to, when I started writing Tall Cotton initially, it was for entertainment, right? I said, I want to write a great story where people can just escape to and just forget about the everyday, whatever, just go into the story, right?
Yeah.
But as I'm writing the story, Darielle, somewhere along the way, a little voice said, but you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to teach some things, to share some things that perhaps no one knows. Um, because I thought to myself, well, I don't know who's going to read my book. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, kids, grown-ups,
Yeah.
but whoever reads it, I want them to learn something from
Mm,
it. Um, Maybe I was, hoping that it might spark a conversation, right? It may cause people to rethink long-held opinions about life situations, Black race, racism,
yeah.
um, or even question some assumptions they've held for, many, many years.
I agree.
Um, so my hope is that people walk away learning something that they did not know, or just being reminded that generational trauma, for example, is real.
Real.
It's a real thing.
Yes.
And just knowing that, this is life. This is art imitating life, is what it really is. And so, yeah, on the one hand, I want it to be entertaining, but I also want it to be informative.
Very much. Very much. Cause and I just even think of I think a lot of people think that because they were, poor or whatever, that it should have been, people are in their situation because they want to, rather than some people just are a product of what's been giving and they do the best that they have. And so I saw that because you can't base judgment just on a proximity, I guess, more so to say.
Absolutely. That was the hand they were dealt with.
Yeah.
That was the hand Anna Lee was dealt with once she married Otis, and she was pretty much trapped in that environment. No real job, no real meaningful education, right?
Mhm.
So where is she gonna go, and what is she gonna do? So
Yep.
she saw an opportunity to escape from that by going to work for this rich white man who said he'd pay her double if she came to work for him.
But when that thing unfolded, I don't even get me started because he came looking for. Okay, I'm gonna go on my rant and give it away. Okay, did writing this book change you in any way personally?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. Ooh, did it change me? I don't know. I'm not, that's a good question. I think you stumped me, Dario. Did you do that on purpose? Did it change me? I don't know. Maybe I don't have an answer for that. I'm actually stumped. Maybe we can circle back to that one.
Okay. That's a good one. Y'all heard that I
That's a
stumped her on a
good
question. I'll
one.
take it. I'll take it. So you said you did a lot of research. So
Mhm.
how much research did you do to prepare for this book?
So the bulk of the research that I did, I thought I grew up in the 70s, right?
Yeah,
I thought, well, I'm not gonna have to do very much research
much. Because
because
you
I
should know, right?
know. But then after I wrote the story, I realized, oh, we spoke a totally different language back in the 70s. Our lingo, we had all this slang. And so I had to actually go back and read and look at the dialogue, look at Titus's dialogue, look especially Titus and Jonathan, and make sure that they were using the type of lingo that we were using back in the 70s. Are you hip? Right on. All these different little slang
To
type
make it accurate,
to
yeah.
make it accurate, yeah. And then their clothing. I had to go back and look at what Annie Lee was wearing and what um, Caroline Cunningham was wearing and all those things. But the most research I did, I also had to research the cars that they were driving, the truck that
Um,
Titus was driving, how many gears that truck had when he was driving out into the country and he revved up his truck because they didn't have like 5 speed, so that particular model truck was only four. So I had to research the cars. Um,
well, I
but
wouldn't even thought about all that. You was together. Okay.
but the most research I did was for the trial
Okay.
because even though I didn't want to use a lot of techno lingo, legalese. I didn't want to make the novel like that because that would slow down the story too much, and bog it down. But I wanted to be accurate in the presentation of that trial.
Hmm.
So I didn't even touch the trial scenes for about 4 months. I said I'm gonna research this. I watched court cases, live TV court cases. I watched trial prep at universities, how students prepare for trial. Of course, I'd always been a huge Perry Mason fan, so that was in the back of my mind the whole time. But I just watched a lot and researched how you do opening argument, closing statements, how that all that plays out, and how the lawyers who goes first and what it's called, and when
Oh,
they examine, cross-examine, direct examine. So I did a lot of
you
research
did good.
for trial prep.
You did good because you would. I see why they're asking are you a lawyer now. Because I'm like, you're right. I mean, it flowed like I was watching a documentary, and it was nothing to question. Oh, good job. I see. I see. So, how did you protect yourself mentally when you were writing those difficult scenes? You have to step away, go listen to music, because some
You
of the
know
scenes was
what?
heavy.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I just had to put it aside and just,
Okay.
but it helped to know that it was fiction. It
Yeah.
wasn't real. It wasn't happening. It wasn't happening now. Uh, but some scenes I really got emotional myself. Some scenes I got emotional, you know. Some scenes I scared myself.
Writing.
Yes, some of the scenes were I scared myself while I was writing. Yeah,
I
and one particular scene, you remember where, and I'm not going to say too much about it, but the kids had gone to the store and it had gotten dark and they were on their way back home
on that road.
on that road.
Oh yeah.
That scared me.
I was okay. So in the midst of all my stuff, looking back, absolutely. But it gave me something. It literally distracted me. So all my grief was not over here. Like all my
Yes,
but yes, that one made my heart flutter. Yes, yes,
yes.
yes, yes, yes. Ooh,
So yeah, so the emotions and that's, as I'm writing, I'm thinking, how do I want the reader to feel as they're reading this?
you kicked our butt.
And,
You kicked our butt. That's how we felt.
and so And so if I know that I'm feeling the emotion,
Mm-hmm.
if I can write it in such a way, also, I want the reader to feel the emotion that I'm feeling at that time as I'm writing.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love the book even more. Okay, so if Talk Cotton had a soundtrack,
Ooh.
what is one song that would be on it? Maybe two. One song. I don't know. What you got?
Oh, wow. Actually, music was the soundtrack to our lives back in the 70s
Very
because
much so.
we had so much great music. And of course, in the story, there are several songs that I dropped in there at
You
certain
did.
times.
Yep.
Um, oh, let's see. Oh, so you should have prepped me for this. Got me stumped looking real crazy right now. So let's see, Tall Cotton. What would be the soundtrack to Tall Cotton? Um, the first song that appears in the story is Voyage to Atlantis.
Yeah.
Um,
That song is stuck in my head. So I that's the one, maybe because it's the first song.
yeah,
And my daddy used to sing that song too. It's stuck with me. So
yeah,
that's the song I hear for the book. Like no
and
matter what.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would be my choice.
Oh, perfect one. I was like, I
Mhm.
wonder if you had another one, but that in my mind, but even like I could just see the cotton like swaying. And I don't know why. I could just see everything coming alive with that song coming on. So what's next for you? Where can we find you? Tell
Hmm.
us what's going on.
So I'm on Instagram, Facebook, the usual socials. I just submitted to my publisher my next novel. It's a contemporary uh, detective story about a female detective named Remington Hunt. And Remy travels to Providence, a town north of Dallas, to attend her aunt's funeral, who they believed perished in a house fire. But when Remy goes back to the ruins to search for keepsakes, she finds a partially burned letter that says, Remy, dear, if you're reading this letter, that means I've been murdered. And so, and so Remy goes on an unofficial hunt to find her aunt's killer. And while she's doing this, her own dark past comes back um, to derail her.
I
You
can't
know,
wait. When does this set slated to potentially come out?
well, I just submitted it to my publisher last week,
Okay,
so
we'll take it.
I've got to hear from her. It's at least a year out, at least a year.
That's fine. At least we know
Deadline.
something is coming. So will we
Mhm.
catch you in these book streets anywhere in the meantime?
I'm trying to be in these book streets everywhere. But I missed the one that's coming up this month. So
A
there's
lit
a big
world.
yes, I let the due date slip me by. I don't have anything posted except for I'm doing class bookstore, but that's not until August.
Oh,
On
okay.
TSU's campus, I'm doing a meet and greet and author signing there at class. I'll be publicizing that. And
I'll
so
be there. I will see you there with my book to get signed. I will be there in August. Oh, I will be there with bells and whistles. I will be the first one there. Okay, long as I get to touch your neck and just give you a hug
oh,
and
that
tell
would
you I
be so
appreciate you,
fantastic.
then I am there. So if we wanted to purchase a copy of Tall Cotton, where is the best place to get a book?
You can go to Lit Java in Pearland if you are in the Houston area. It's also at Kindred Stories.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's available online on Amazon, on Barnes and Noble, any place online where you buy
I
books.
got my copy at La Java just to tell y'all. I'm like, that's all right. And I think I just missed you. Like by the time I picked up the book, they said you had already done like an author interview with Reese. And I
Yes.
must have just missed you. And then I'm like, oh, well, let me read the book. So next time, if she does one, I'll know. And that thing has changed my life. So I am so glad that you sat down with me. This is definitely one of my dreams. I told my mother and my grandmother, I told
Oh my
everybody, I
goodness.
was like, I'm interviewing one of the ones. And I said I was going to hold it together, so I'm glad I did. Now, when we meet in person, I might cry, but just let me process it.
Just know that if you cry, I'm gonna cry too, because that's just who I am. So
We'll
we'll
be
cry
together.
together.
But I appreciate you for sitting down with me. This was is truly a bucket interview for me, and I can't wait to share with everybody just this wonderful story.
Oh my
So,
gosh, thank you so much. Like I said, when you posted um your review online, I was in the Java and Patrice, she said, "Have you seen Dariel's review?" And I was like, "No." And she showed it to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so wonderful." And then I played it myself, and I'm like, when you were talking about it, I'm like, "Yes, yes, yes." I wanted to talk back with you. So thank you so much for invited me to sit down and have this conversation with you about tall cotton.
no problem. So, are you, if you're, even if you're not going to go to a lit world as an author, are you at least going to come and visit? Because I'll be there
Is that on the 5th?
the 5th, the
I
13th.
mean, the 15th?
13th. So not this Saturday, next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
I know
Uh,
tickets are on sale today. I think today's the last day. They just put them back on sale for today. But I'll be there as a content creator. So even
oh,
if maybe there's two opportunities I can see, but for sure, don't worry about it. I'll be at a class bookstore. So
okay, okay. Okay. I was not planning to be there, but
it's still
I
good for
might need to
you.
rethink it and come
Yes.
too. Absolutely. And just meet
Some
you
of
and
us.
yeah,
Yes.
other content creators.
We'll be
Absolutely.
there.
Like
We'll
an
be there.
awesome opportunity.
All
Absolutely.
right. Well, we're about to end the interview, but I thank you so much, and we will definitely be in touch, okay?
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.